Hello, lazy girl. Today, I want to help you create content that will still perform for you weeks after you've posted. Got Gwen here and I've got my matcha, so let's dive into it. I really want to talk about this topic today because I feel like this is something that we all struggle with at one point or another during our entrepreneurial journey. And it feels so good to finally start figuring out a system that works for you. Today, content is more important than ever, and I don't want you to create content while burning yourself out. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by content creation, you want to watch this until the end because I'll give you the exact tips and how I managed to streamline my content creation so that you can save time and avoid burning yourself out. In this video, I also want to talk about the type of content that I like to create, which is evergreen content. And I really love promoting this type of content for my clients, and I also love creating it for myself because it's really the type of content that will serve you way beyond the date that it was posted, and it will really bring clients back to your business for years to come. Basically, what you'll do, you'll create this type of content once and it will continue to deliver relevant results, whether that be, growing your audience or nurturing your leads, or even getting people to sign up for your programs and services. And the best part of this is that it doesn't feel like a grind. What I want you to do is to start working smarter, not harder. So let's get into it. To start, I really want to talk about the two types of content creators that are out there. First, you have the girl that's a hesitant beginner. If you resonate with that, you most likely struggle to show up, you struggle to know where to begin, you're confused by all the information available to you. Basically, this girl doesn't create content because she doesn't know where to start. Maybe she's struggling with being on camera, maybe she doesn't know what to talk about, or she just feels like her content is not good enough. If that sounds like you, I'm here to tell you that your content is good enough. And if you don't want to be on camera, not a problem. There are a million other ways to create content that don't involve being on camera. So if that's the resistance that you have, I'm here to tell you that you need to cut it out and you need to get out there and create content anyway. I remember when I first started my business, I was also really struggling with creating content, especially being on camera. And even now, I still struggle with being on camera. This YouTube channel really is a way for me to get more comfortable because I do have bigger aspirations that go beyond content creation in general. So I do know that this is a stepping stone to get me to bigger things. And I really need to kind of suck it up and just keep doing it until I get better at it. And you may notice that I am a little bit nervous in some instances, that I don't feel as fluid as all the other girlies that I personally look up to, but it doesn't matter. I'm still gonna show up and I'm still gonna do what I have to do because I know that one day I will get there. Remember that practice and repetition is the key to all mastery. So if you're girl number one, I totally relate, and we're going to be on this journey together, and I'm going to support you in any way that I can. And now girl number two is the type of girl that already is extremely popular on one platform. Think about the Instagram influencers. I see this a lot, especially in the wellness community, in the coaching community. A lot of these girls have done a very good job at growing on Instagram, maybe a few years ago when it wasn't as hard as it is today to grow on Instagram. But now the struggle that I find with these girls, or it's not really a struggle, but where I see them stagnating, is that they're concentrating on just a one platform. Maybe they're really popular on Instagram and then maybe they have an email list, but they don't really show up on any other platforms. And now that might all seem good and dandy. I mean, you may be comfortable at what you're doing and you know that it works, so why not just keep doing it? But I'm here to tell you that it is in these moments when everything is going well that you want to be thinking about your next steps. Because trust me, it's way better to create from a place of comfort than from a place of discomfort when you're stressed out and burning out because of every other situation going on in your life. So if you're this girl, I really do invite you to take a look at what you're doing and think about what is the next step for you and how can you continue to grow beyond the social media where you've already cultivated an audience. And if you are this girl, I'll show you how you can repurpose your content. This is going to be a lot easier for you because obviously you already are creating content and you already have an audience. So it's going to be a lot easier to transfer that to other platforms and to continue growing without starting from scratch. I really want to take the time and talk about these two particular situations. So if you are a beginner, I will talk about this first. And if you are a girl that already has an audience, you can either look through my chapters and skip to that part, or you can listen to this first part as well. Okay, so let's start with the shy girly that doesn't want to show up. I'll be honest, a lot of my clients fall under this category, and there are a multitude of reasons why this is. First of all, a lot of them are millennials and older, and if you are a millennial, you'll know that we grew up with this idea that what you put on the internet will be there forever. So we are a little bit more careful, I would say, than the Gen Z counterparts. It's a little bit harder for us to put something out unless we think it's absolutely perfect. And if that's you, I'm here to tell you that, again, you do have to start somewhere. Don't let your limiting beliefs keep you back from your growth. Because if you do have this fear of showing up on any medium, it is really going to limit you in how much you can do. We live in a world where content is more important than ever. Personal branding is more important than ever, and you just really cannot rely on outside factors or just paid marketing campaigns to drive growth to your business. Sooner or later, you will have to promote yourself. To give you an example, I'm working with a client right now, and she is a brilliant detox specialist, and she's been working at this healing center for a couple of years now. And it's come to the point where the healing center cannot market her services enough. They have obviously a lot of other practitioners as well. And also, just in general, the market has gone down a little bit. People are not as willing to, let's say, invest as they were maybe pre-pandemic or even during the pandemic. And of course, that limits her income generating potential. But the thing is, she is so good at what she does. She has so much potential to grow her business and to grow her reach by just promoting her services herself. And of course, a lot of the time we have no idea where to start. We find it to be extremely overwhelming. I totally understand that. I've been there. Again, I work with a lot of people that are experiencing the same thing. But don't let that stop you. You can see beyond the hardship and you can get there. You just need to start with one thing, right? So just one thing at a time, take the next step. You only need to see the road really 300 meters ahead. You don't need to see the whole entire road to know that you'll get to your destination. And I really do love talking about this because I do see so much potential in a lot of my clients and in a lot of people that are not producing any content. I see their expertise and I see the value that they can bring to the world. And if they could just get over this limiting belief or this imposter syndrome or this idea that content creation is too hard and they cannot do it and it will take too much time, if they could get over that, they can 100% share their light with the world and improve it in so many different ways. And that just goes beyond just growing your business, right? We're here to help the world be better in our own little way. And I truly believe that you can do that by creating content that resonates with a lot of people. If you have found yourself in what I'm saying, I want you to start small. What I want you to do is take a piece of paper and every day set aside 5-10 minutes and write down content that you can create, right? What type of content do you want to create? If you have absolutely no idea about what to create, start thinking about the most frequent questions that your clients ask you. That's a really good place to start. Start thinking about the problems that you solve for them. Start thinking about situations that you find that a lot of your clients find themselves in that you help them navigate. Think about those transformations that they will experience. All of these can become content for you. If you have a signature method, perhaps you can talk about your signature method. And what I want you to realize is that there's a million ways to talk about the same thing. There's a million perspectives, so many different angles that you can look at the same issue and talk about it, right? So oftentimes what I see these girlies do, they don't create a lot of content, they don't put themselves out there, they will oftentimes create one piece of content or they'll just list out their service or their program. They'll talk about what's included in the program, they'll talk about the benefits of the program, they'll talk about the price, etc. But they don't really go any deeper than that. And not only do they not go deeper than that, but what they'll often do, and I see this all the time, they'll just promote that content one time. And it makes me so sad when I see them promoting that content one time. And I have clients that I work with where we create content together and I always circle back to their main idea, to their main focus, right? We reimagine it. we're telling the story in a different way. And they're always like, but we've posted this before. Do we really want to do it again? And I tell them, yes, we do want to do it again. What is that saying, that it takes 7 times for you to see a marketing message before it really enters your subconscious? Well, it's the same thing here. I'm sure that now it takes even more times than 7, because we are bombarded with ads from all directions. But it's the same idea here, right? You want to repeat the same thing over and over again. Repetition is really key for it to go into the subconscious mind. And I'm sure you can understand this. Think about affirmations, right? And when we're thinking about affirmations, we want to affirm something over and over and over again until it enters our subconscious mind. Well, it's the same thing with your products and services, with your signature method, with the transformations that you help people achieve through your services, through your programs. You want to tell them over and over and over again so that they can finally understand. Think about it also, how many times you have heard a certain message, especially on your healing journey. I find that this happens all the time. We can understand something consciously, but it's not until we hear it in a specific way that it finally clicks, and that we finally realize, okay, this is what this idea is about, and now I'm going to integrate it. And then of course you forget, and then you reintegrate it again. And now I'm just rambling, but you understand. You need to offer your services over and over again, or you need to create that content over and over again and explore it from all different angles so that the right person can find the right message and finally resonate with it, so they can finally realize that they need to work with you. So write down the content, write 5 pieces of content every single day. And at the end of the week, you'll have more than enough content to last you for quite a while. When I did this exercise for my business, I realized that a lot of my clients were asking me how to build up their email list. So not only did I create a service out of this question, but I also created a video that I posted a little while back that you can check out, in which it walks you through exactly why you want to have an email funnel and why you want to build an email audience. Had I not done this exercise, I don't think that I would have had the idea to create a service for building up an email subscriber list and working with email funnels, because it doesn't 100% tie in with the work that I was doing before, which is branding and web design. Of course, now that I am doing this, I can see how it all ties together, and I can see how these two services really do help support my clients in growing their businesses. But it took this exercise for me to realize that. And now, of course, I can make tons of content about email funnels, right? It seems like I will just do it once and done, but there's actually so many different things that you can talk about. There's so many intricacies, so much that goes into it, that I can really make a whole entire series about this. More on that later. Okay, so now that you have a list of content that you want to create, what I want you to do is start thinking about what type of content is best for you to produce. And you really do have 3 types of content. You can create video content, you can create written content, or you can create audio content. For video, it's pretty self-explanatory. This works on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram Reels. Written content, we're talking about blogs, ebooks, newsletter series. And then when it comes to audio, of course, you can think about audio meditations, podcasts. So take a look at these 3 types of content and think about which one is most comfortable for you. And especially if you are a shy girly, I really want you to take the time to think about this and choose the path of least resistance. If you're shy and you're not comfortable on camera, I really don't want you to take it upon yourself and tell yourself that you're going to start doing videos, long form YouTube videos or things like that, because honestly, you're just giving yourself more reasons to put it off. You'll find a ton of excuses as to why you don't want to do it. And you'll find yourself pushing it away more and more and more. It's very easy to find excuses when it's something that we don't want to do. So if you're more comfortable in writing, by all means, start writing blog posts. Blogging is not dead. Don't think about it that way. I know everybody online talks about how our attention spans are getting shorter. Is it true? Yes and no. I mean, I think we have less brain capacity to consume social media content, but I definitely feel like if you write an article that is in depth, that's packed with valuable information, People are going to take the time to read it if it's interesting. If you don't want to write anything and you're most comfortable in the audio format, your ideas flow very easily to you as you talk, then by all means start a podcast. Podcasts are huge right now. They're a great way to promote yourself, to gain direct access to a community of people that want to work with you and are interested in what you have to offer. And they're also an amazing way for you to connect with others in your community or community adjacent for collaborations, to hear their stories. It's really a great medium that can offer you infinite opportunities for growth. I remember when I first started a couple of years ago, I also wasn't very comfortable on camera. I'm still not comfortable on camera 100%, but I do know that this is a really good way for me to deliver my knowledge and to help you grow in your business. And so at the end of the day, you have to do what you have to do. I also like creating YouTube videos because I myself really spend a lot of time on YouTube, so I resonate with the platform. And it's also because I have tried different platforms, right? I've also created content for TikTok, and I find it much more difficult to create shorter pieces of content than it is to create one long piece of content and then cut that into smaller pieces that you can then promote on your other social media. And when it comes to video, honestly, like I said, I'm still a little bit shy, but I do see the bigger vision of this. And I look at this as a vehicle to take me there. And I know that I will be getting more confident and more comfortable as I keep doing this. So I really do have to continue doing it. And I thank you so much for being here for the journey from the beginning. Okay, so now you have the content that you want to talk about. You have the medium through which you want to deliver this content. Next, you want to look at the platforms that you want to promote yourself on. So of course, platforms really depend on the type of content that you're creating. Keep in mind that not every piece of content works well on all platforms. It's really not a one-size-fits-all when it comes to content creation. I would say once you get to this point, try to think about where your audience already is and where they spend their time. For example, on Instagram, short, visually appealing content is what performs best. YouTube is great for longer, more in-depth or educational type of content. Whereas TikTok, for example, it's a lot more raw, a lot more real type of content, and it can really be long and short. But even from Instagram and TikTok, you can see a clear difference in the type of content that's produced when you're talking about video content. Again, Reels is a lot more polished. It's a lot shorter videos, whereas on TikTok, people do a lot of deep dives as well. Podcasts are great if you have a lot to say and your audience likes to listen on the go. Perhaps I should do podcasting as well because I definitely have a lot to say. But remember to focus on your audience, right? If most of your audience is on Instagram, there's no point to focus on Twitter right now. Remember to meet them where they are and go from there. Let's recap. Now you have a list of content that you want to create. You picked a medium in how to deliver this content. You know what platform you're going to be on. Now what I want you to do, I want you to set aside specific time during your week when you can create this content. Out of all of the steps above, this is the most important one. Because unless you set a time in your schedule every single week, you block out the time to create content, you're never going to find time to do it. You're always going to have other things that are more important. Things come at us from all different directions, especially as business owners. There's always space for busy work. But if you do have it in your calendar and you commit yourself to doing it, then you will have to follow through. And when you set the time, I really want you to give yourself a little bit more than you expected, because oftentimes we tend to underestimate how long it takes us to do a task. And we also tend to overestimate how much we can accomplish in a certain time limit. So I really do want you to give yourself more time. If you do happen to finish early, that's great. You can focus on other things, or you can even relax and pat yourself on the back for having done it. But don't give yourself just a couple of minutes or things like that, Set aside a time. I like to do it on the same day every single week or every other week. And with no exception, I'll be doing it then. So for me, Tuesday's content day. So I know that every Tuesday I will be focusing on creating content. It's a lot easier to remember what you have to do and fall into this rhythm when you have a set time every single week. And if you're just beginning, I really do want you to work on it every single week. Otherwise, you're not going to stay consistent, and you really do need a lot of consistency, especially as you're starting out. Remember, we all have great ideas, but without a set time to do the work, nothing gets done. And when you decide on how much time to schedule for this specific task, please take into consideration the type of content that you're creating. A blog post will obviously take you less time than, let's say, a YouTube video where you have to prepare your setup, film your video, and then edit your video as well. And now, what I don't want you to do, if you are a lazy girl just starting to do content, please, I cannot emphasize this enough, do not go the route of just posting carousel posts on Instagram. It's not enough. It won't do anything. You will spend all of that time and energy creating the content, and you won't get any results. Unless you already have a somewhat of an audience on Instagram, it's impossible that it will deliver results. You really do have to create a little bit more than that. And trust me, it will take you just as much time to create that perfect caption, to create that perfect carousel, as it will take you to create an in-depth blog post. So under no circumstances do I want to see girlies that just post carousels on Instagram or static posts and stories. No, it has to be more than that. You have to do more. Okay, now let's talk about the second type of girly, the established girly that already has an audience and is thriving on one platform. If you are this girl, I can already assume that you are creating a lot of content, so you don't have problems creating the content itself. You are probably also consistent, you already know why it's important, and you take the time to do it. What I want you to do now is diversify your platforms. And you may be wondering, why should I do that? If I'm already huge on Instagram, if I already have a huge audience on TikTok, then why should I spend my energy elsewhere? And I'm here to tell you that this is exactly the reason why you want to be growing on other platforms. If you build an audience on one platform, that's amazing, but it's risky to focus all of your attention on just that one platform. Remember MySpace? Remember Vine? These platforms are almost forgotten about, and they were immensely popular during their prime. I'm not saying that Instagram is going to disappear tomorrow and you should be worried about that, but you never know what's going to happen in the future. You never know what new platforms are going to show up, how our consumer habits will change, how the way we consume social media will change. And this is exactly why I want you to grow elsewhere. Second of all, you don't own your audience on Instagram. So if something were to happen, truly were to happen to Instagram, and you don't have a backup option like an email list, then all of those followers could be gone in a minute. They could be banning your account, whatever it may be. You know, I'm dramatizing scenarios here. I'm sure this is not going to happen to you, but you really do want to own your audience. So this is why, it's important to grow your email list. It's important to be on other platforms where other people can find you. And it's important to spread your content across all of these social media platforms at our disposal. And the benefit is truly simple. Beyond having a wider reach, you also open yourself up to more opportunities. And it really depends on your goals, but it could be collaborations, it could be speaking engagements, it can be a book if that's what you have on your radar. Remember, the bigger your audience, the more likely that other people will want to work with you, promote you, and invest in you. And I know that you want to create something that's not just for right now, but last your whole lifetime, can sustain you for the remainder of your life, and also hopefully build a legacy for your children as well. So what I want you to do, if you are this girly, I want you to start by analyzing and repurposing your top performing content. You are at an advantage here. You already have a ton of content. Take a look at what performed best and repurpose that content for the different platforms. So again, going back to Instagram, because again, I do see a lot of our audience on Instagram. Take a look at your top performing content and see how you can repurpose it, how you can expand on it, and how you can promote it on different platforms. Spend 1 to 2 hours going through your analytics and see what resonated most with your audience. Use this content to make informed decisions on what to expand on If you want to film a YouTube video, write a blog post, or record a podcast, you can expand on that topic through this new medium. And once you've done that, what you can do is you can take that long form content and break it down into smaller chunks that you can then promote again on your Instagram. This is really why I prefer creating longer form content. It's so much easier to take a long form content and break it down into smaller pieces than it is to do the other way around. And remember, repurposing doesn't just mean taking that video and posting it on a different platform. Because as I said at the beginning of the video, not all content performs as well on the different platforms. What I'll see a lot of the times is that someone that's really popular on Instagram, they'll start a TikTok and they'll just repurpose their old Instagram reels, they'll repurpose them on TikTok. But the problem is that TikTok doesn't have the same type of content. So their audience is not going to resonate with that. Their videos are not going to be pushed out. And they're going to think to themselves, oh, TikTok is too hard, or TikTok doesn't work for my brand. And that's really not what's happening here. It's just that the way that the content is formatted is specific to Instagram. And of course, that makes sense for the platforms themselves, right? They do want to have their own unique identity. They don't want the same type of content to be available everywhere. You do have to create platform-specific content for each one of these social media platforms. And what that means for you, again, if we're thinking about, Instagram to TikTok to YouTube pipeline, is that perhaps on Instagram, you're going to make a quick 6-second video with just some music about something that you did in your day, let's say a meditation practice. Now you'll take that meditation practice, that video, and you'll put it on TikTok and you'll add a voiceover so that people can connect with you through the voiceover, right? And then you take that piece of content and you'll transfer it to YouTube. And there you're going to talk about the meditation practice, your intentions for the practice, why did you do it, how often you do it, and you'll create a longer form video. And then if you want to transfer that to a podcast, then you can talk about the benefits of having a meditation practice, how it has helped you grow in your life and business, and give tips for others wanting to start that practice themselves. So now it's the same piece of content, but you've taken it across 4 different platforms. You did have to tailor it just a little bit for each of these platforms. So now that you have identified your top performing content and you have thought of ways to repurpose it for the platform that you want to be on, I recommend leveraging that content for evergreen use. Another thing that I see with these girlies that have grown on a platform and they have been running their business for many, many years is that oftentimes they'll have content that is just sitting there collecting dust. It's something that they promoted maybe a while back, something that they created, and they're just not promoting it anymore. Perhaps it was a masterclass or things like that, and now are just sitting there doing nothing. And if that's you, I really want you to take this content and offer it to your audience in some sort of way. Whether that's creating a bundle and selling it for a very low price, or if it is to just use it as a freebie to bring people into your email funnel, it doesn't matter, but don't let that content sit there. Pull out those old workshops, webinars, and masterclasses and give them a new life. Now, if it's something extremely old that you don't resonate with, obviously don't promote it. But if it's something that you just need to refilm, maybe a new intro, and then you can give it a new life, please do so. All of that content, it will be valuable for someone. I also want you to think that even though right now you're good and you have a full client flow, there are many people that want to work with you that are perhaps not at the level that you're offering your coaching at. Perhaps they're not ready to make that huge investment, but they still want to work with you. For these type of clients, you can create an entry-level offer, like I said, like a bundle or something like that, that gives them access to your knowledge and to your expertise without the high ticket price. And finally, now that you have determined your top performing content, that you have repurposed your content for different platforms, and that you have repurposed your content also for evergreen use, what you want to do is cross-promote and engage your existing audience on the new platforms. So again, you are at an advantage here because you have an audience already, so it's much easier to move them from the platform that you're on now, that you have grown on, to a new platform and ask them to support you there as well. Don't be afraid to use your Instagram following to promote your new blog, your new podcast, or your new YouTube channel. And here's a lazy girl tip. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. A little teaser or an extra incentive It's all it takes to bring your followers to your new platform. If you've made it to the end of the video, I commend you. Thanks for sticking around. I really do hope that this helps you. Although I talked a lot, this process truly is lazy girl friendly once you get into it. It will save you so much time, it will save you so much energy. You just need to get started, implement these steps, and I promise you, you'll come back and thank me, because it will save you so many headaches and so many heartaches for not having produced enough or put yourself out there enough so you can bring in new clients. This process truly does emphasize efficiency through repetition. This is why you want to create a sustainable system that can bring you results. And that's why if you are a shy girly that hasn't started yet, what you want to do is you want to create a list of content ideas, and then you want to set aside a time to execute those ideas and be consistent with it. Setting aside the time, it truly is the most important thing. And if you are a girly that has an audience already, what you want to do is take a look at your top performing content and repurpose that content. It's much easier to repurpose the content that you already have than to create new content from scratch. Trust me. For the shy girly, trust me that it's much easier to have a consistent routine in the way you create content than it is to just wait for you to feel like it. If you wait for the perfect day until you feel like it, I promise you that they will never come. You'll always have excuses. Another thing that I want you to think about is that batching really does save you time. So this works for both girlies. If you are new and you're just starting out, don't write just one blog post, write two. If you already have an established audience, again, don't just repurpose one or two things. Take the time to do 3 or 4, whatever, how long it takes, but do it repeatedly and do it consistently. Set aside that time during your week to do it. And whatever stage you are at, remember, try to create evergreen content that will continue to serve your audience beyond the initial publishing date. Evergreen content may feel like it's a lot at first, but once you get your system down, it's going to save you so much time and energy in the long run. You'll be growing your business without constantly having to create new stuff. Whether you're just starting out or wanting to expand your reach, remember, you don't have to hustle every day to see results. You just need a strategy that works for you. Start small, stay consistent, and you'll be well on your way to building a content library that truly works for you. Before you leave this video, take action. Whether you're shy girly number 1 or established girly number 2, grab a notebook and write down 5 content ideas. Just 5. Let that be your starting point. Then schedule just 1 or 2 hours this week to work on your first piece of content. And don't forget to let me know in the comments, are you more of a beginner or are you already established? I really would love to hear where you're at. And if you listened until the end, thank you so much. I'm Vanessa from Zen, an all-encompassing branding and web design studio where we help you tap into your CEO energy and finally live the life that you've been dreaming of. If you found my message helpful, I would really love to hear from you in the comments. Please subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.